Hello and welcome to How to Heal. I am your host, MikaLeone-Pettit, and this is episode 8. We continue at the Women of Spirit Volume 2 anthology interviews, and the book release has been changed from March 1st to March 23rd. So along the way, I'll give you more information because we're going to also have a launch party as well that you may want to attend. Our guest today is Carole Fontaine, known some as the Sailing Yogi. So Carole is a certified life coach specializing in mindfulness and empowerment, meditative writing, Shakti Dance Yoga, and Reiki Master Teacher. She owns a thriving graphic business and is a best-selling author. So her first memoir, Sail Above the Clouds, How to Simplify Your Life, was the #1 bestseller on Amazon for 3 weeks. Finalist in the Book of the Year from the Book Talk Radio Club in the UK, and sold 5 copies in 5 different continents. So you can read her first 2 chapters of Sail Above the Clouds at sailabovetheclouds.com. There is so much more to tell, but I'm going to let Carole fill you in. So Carole, welcome to How to Heal.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. I'm so excited to chat with you and to just get to know yourself and just talk about healing and mindfulness and what we can do to be more present in this life.
I know I've been looking forward to talking to you as well. We've been back and forth by email, and it is great to finally connect with you. And how things are in Maine, how things up in the area.
Things are good. We've had snow again, which I'm ready for it to be over. I've only been back up north in northern weather for 3 years, but I love it. I do love the change of season, but it's a beautiful sunny day today, and I'm enjoying the beautiful fresh air.
Awesome. And Maine, they also get those gorgeous leaf changes as well, right? So you get all the yellows and the oranges and the reds.
We do. And I grew up in Canada right across the border. So it's familiar, although I've been in Florida or in the islands for 25 years. It's still, it's like a distant memory. So I'm rediscovering all these smells and sensation and visual beauty of the seasons that I had as a child.
Oh, that's beautiful. And speaking of, you saying being in the islands and in Florida, so they call you the Sailing Yogi. So you want to start off by telling us part of your journey? Usually I would ask people before how their healing journey began, but I think the sailboat journey has a little to do with prior to that. And I want to bring you into the rest of your healing journey. So you want to start by telling us a little bit about why they call you the Sailing Yogi.
Yes. My husband and I are originally both from Canada, and we moved to Florida in '93. And we ended up from moving to Florida because of the weather, because we both rode Harley Davidson. We were bikers. That's what attracted us to Florida is the riding weather. But it was so hot. After a few years, we just ended up, we needed change. We needed something different. We were young when we moved to Florida, and we were partying way too much, and it got out.
Is it ever too much when you're young?
Well, you got to do it. You got to do it. Otherwise, when you get older, you do it. And now's not the time. So we did it when we were supposed to, but it took its toll. And then we found ourselves at a place in time where something needed to change, because it was our life was out of control. So we decided to move on a sailboat. It was either buy a home or buy a boat. And we were sitting on the beach looking at the boats going out of Port Everglades. And my husband said, why don't we buy a boat? And So we started with a small boat just for the weekend, just for fun.
Well, you guys already seem pretty adventurous to begin with. So
exactly.
Yeah.
It was a natural progression from riding to having a little boat and ride the waves. So we're like, yeah, sure, let's try it. So we had a small 25-footer for about I'd say 9 months. And every weekend we took it everywhere. We trailered it, dropped it in the water, and then learned to sail because we had no clue what we were doing.
Okay, so you didn't have any experience before you guys
Zero.
decided that maybe we should just get a boat.
No, zero. It was brand new, but it was small. It was very forgivable. When you ran aground, you could jump off the boat and literally push it off the sandbar. So after 9 months, we took a 2-week vacation, and we loved it so much that we were at that point where it was either time to buy a house or a boat. And my husband showed up and says, why don't we just buy a boat and live on it?
Was it because it was more mobile and you didn't know if you wanted to be in a particular place for a certain amount of time?
Yes. Well, my husband kind of has a wandering spirit.
Yeah.
And also we loved the sailing part, and having the boat, it seemed like something different, and we were those kind of people that we like different things. We like to try things. We have that adventurous spirit, and we totally fell in love with the ocean and the community, the city. So we bought Windsong, and we stayed on the boat for 20 years. We owned it for 25 years, and we stayed on it for 20 years.
Wow, I bet the sleep was amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah, that just rocking back and forth in the ocean. Oh my God. Now tell me overall, how was like the daily living there? I'm sure people want to know that because, you've had people that have heard of people living on a boat, but not for 20 years.
I know. It really surprised when I tell people their eyes go wider. 20 years, they take a double take. How did you do it? A lot of people say, oh my goodness, it's so small. How did you do it?
Yeah.
And I must say that the first 6 months were difficult because we went from a big house with a swimming pool and living rooms and 2 refrigerators and all that space to selling everything, donating, gifting, storing. I mean, we had to get rid of everything. We had to majorly simplify our life to squeeze it in 41 foot. Right. So the first 6 months were a bit difficult because you need to adjust to the space. You keep bumping everywhere and you can't find your stuff because everything is so packed away.
Yep.
But you also need to learn to live in each other's tiles. You know, those 4 tiles that we have around us that you live in. You need to learn to really make concessions and to constantly be in each other's space. So that took its toll. So it's an adjustment, and you really need to. If anyone's interested in trying either the RV life or the sailing life, I always tell them, give yourself a minimum of 6 months to get over that initial transition.
The shock, shock of it all, exactly.
Adapt.
Because even in the best relationships, that could be a little challenging in such a small space.
Yes. But after that 6 months, it became easier and easier. And it was so much fun being able to take the boat out every weekend and to just go, because we had to have a land base somewhere because we weren't rich. We had to keep jobs. And thankfully, after a while, I was able to manage to work from the boat. So after a few years, I worked from the boat being a graphic designer.
And where was your landing space? Oh, I'm sorry. And where was your landing space?
We moved. We moved. We lived in Hollywood, in South Florida, in the Keys, in Central Florida. We would take a hiatus, and all our vacation was spent in the Bahamas and the Exumas and just sailing as far as we could, as much as we could in the vacation time that we had. So, but we always came back to a particular place. But those months that we spent on vacation, those were the gift, or when we sailed from Florida to Maine. All the time that we spent on water were immensely beneficial to our mental health, to our personal growth, to just learning that this world is much more beautiful, more connected, than we allow ourselves to see. We think we're all disconnected, and you know that our problems are so big, but when you're out there on the ocean, you realize that, oh my goodness, I don't have any problems.
Yeah.
You know, it refocus, you know, you prioritize and you focus your energy elsewhere. So you're like, oh my goodness, life is so good. I'm so blessed. And your problem become very small when you can, and the community is really amazing.
And that is that when you started your book? Did you like halfway into your journey on the boat?
I stayed on the boat for 20 years, and maybe 10 years into it after that, I went through a difficult period. We launched a sailing magazine, Real Sailors, which I published for 2 years from the boat, which was it was a hoot. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We distributed from Boca Raton all the way down to the Keys, and we had parties and events and regattas, which we brought boats to sail in the Bahamas. But after 9/11, the financial and the people who didn't feel like advertising, everything took its toll. It was very difficult to keep it afloat, and we had to go under. So I had to close the magazine. It's mostly my fault, financial mismanagement, but also external events that happen,
occurrences that you have no control over.
Yes, and I ended up working for a company doing graphic design, and then I started getting sick. And I got more and more chronically ill, and the more ill I got, the more unhappy. Everything was snowballing around me. My finances from the bankruptcy, my relationship with my husband, and then the reason why we lived on the boat to get away from the partying, that kind of caught up with us, because we had never really addressed the underlying issues of, well, why do we feel like partying and drinking and doing all? So, and I was at a point in my life where I was very unhappy, but I had never stopped to ask myself, am I happy? I lived in paradise. I lived on a sailboat, dolphins floating around, feeding the fish every day. But I was chronically ill. And then my friend asked me, she told me that you need to start journaling. You need to start writing. And at that point, I was followed by multiple doctors. If you read my book, there's a section about it where I talk about going through this dark night of the soul.
Right.
And I ended up having to see, over the course of a few years, 10 different doctors that were trying to help me. And I had a few surgeries, and they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. And a dear friend said, start writing, start journaling. And at first I said, writing? How is that going to help me? Are you? Hello?
Yeah.
And you see how
one has to do with the other.
Really is, you know?
Yeah.
I can't eat if I couldn't eat. But after a while, you know, when you get so sick and you get at the bottom, you start to be desperate, and then you look for alternatives.
And you're willing to try whatever. Yeah, whatever. Because I tried everything. I think I tried everything, and it didn't work.
Exactly. So that's when usually people turn to the holistic field, and that's what I did. I turned to the holistic field, and I got my first journal. I started writing, and I started to take all these trainings in Reiki and yoga and energy healing, and the writing showed me that I was terribly unhappy, and I had no clue, and I was like, oh goodness.
Give us an example now for other people who are out there listening to this, and she has gotten some rave reviews on her book and how it has changed some other people's lives. I've seen it all over your website. And for those people who haven't had a chance to get to know you yet, give them an idea of, like, did you wake up in the morning and start writing like immediate, like how you felt when you wake up or when you were going to bed? What started that transformation in the writing for you?
Yes, I started journaling. Initially, I would just write whenever I would feel either sad, frustrated, or I needed to get something off my chest. And then I took a few classes where meditation was mixed in the blend of writing. And as I started to go on my yoga journey and became a Shakti Dance teacher, I started to blend the yoga with the meditation, with writing. And
Yes.
I found that when I incorporated movement, breathing, and meditation, when I asked questions or used writing prompts, I would get the most amazing responses. Sometimes I would write, and then the more you write, and it's continuous writing, you don't stop when you do the meditative writing. And I usually time myself. So I'll put the timer on for, initially it was 3 minutes, 5 minutes, but
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yes.
now I would put it for 10, 15, and at the end, after a while, I've got so used, I would just write for it. And then I'd look at the time, I go, my goodness, I've been writing for an hour and a half. But those sessions is where that wisdom comes out. Because in the beginning, when you first start, I always write in the morning when I wake up, because the veil between the other realm is still very thin, and you're awake, but you're aware. You're not lost in la la land yet.
All the thoughts haven't had time to settle in yet for the day. Yeah.
But lately, I also write as I put my head on the pillow. I have a notebook and I write then there too. So, but initially I would write always in the morning. So if you want to start the journaling practice, either do it after meditation or yoga or some kind of session that really brings your mind to the present moment.
Exactly. And speaking of that, like how you were saying with the Shakti dancing, that brings you back in your body to being really present and moving your energy. Do you believe, like when you were on, like you were saying, you had to start doing the journaling led to the yoga, that led to the, dancing. Did you feel like you needed it all because maybe you weren't moving enough? And that energy needed to move, to flow, and then your feelings can come up, like how you said you knew you weren't happy, but you didn't take the time to even process why you weren't happy.
Exactly. And in the beginning, I did not have that awareness, that self-awareness to recognize the signs that my body were giving me. So when I took my Reiki 1 training, my first Reiki 1, because I did it multiple times, I love this practice so much. When I took that first training and I realized that I could actually feel my body.
You're like,
what a concept.
Not just a head.
And I'm not talking like touching, I'm talking really like on an energetic level. I started to recognize that I had on this back. I was unbalanced.
Yes.
I had chakras that was misfiring, that were blocked. I could actually feel the hot and the cold and the blockages. And I started to become so aware of where these blockages were. And of course, they were related to my digestion and initially my throat chakra, my voice, because I did not have that voice to say no to doctors, to ask questions, to be an advocate for my health. So that was one of the first things that I developed in these early days, is to say no to my boss, to my doctor, to my friends who may have been had good intentions, but we're not going about our relationships in a respectful way. So I had to fire some people.
Yes.
And I had to sit down with my husband and have very heart-to-heart discussion on our relationship. And that was that was very difficult to realize that you're unhappy in all these aspects of your life, but you've been lying to yourself.
And just like you said, you weren't aware enough to really know, you didn't know Carole the way that you knew Carole after Carole started to to heal, heal and become more aware of her body. It's a whole new Carole.
Exactly. Who was I? And that's funny because that's one of the first things that I ask in my book, Sail Above the Clouds. It's the first of a 4-book series, and SAIL is an acronym. It's simplify, align, integrate, let go.
That's what I was going to ask you about next, if you could lead us into how that acronym works in a practical way for others so they can check that out. I think it's awesome.
Yes, and how it came about is I needed to really simplify my life, simplify my mind, my mental space. But when I moved on the boat, I simplified my physical space. And then that naturally led me to look into my mental and emotional space. It might have took a little while, but eventually it did. And then I was faced with all that clutter that was in my mind and all these things that needed to be addressed. And the first book is all about simplifying. So each chapter has an adventure from our crazy sailing days. And then after each chapter, I have a life lesson that I learned, a journaling question, and an exercise to take it out in the world. So each chapter looks at one specific way of one aspect of your life that you can simplify.
Oh, I see why so many people love it.
The whole book is about simplifying. Right now, I'm working on the second book, which is all about aligning your life with your purpose, with your real, dharma.
Like an energetic alignment, like resetting your programming, or and different words for different people, but pretty much that kind of concept.
Exactly. And then the third one is about integrating practices in your daily life to support your progress on these days that you're not doing so well. You need support so you don't fall off the wagon.
Exactly.
Yes. And then finally let go, because we need to let go of so much in order to grow.
Isn't that true? It's amazing how much we've carried. Don't even realize we're carried from even childhood, and how much we just have to keep letting go and letting go and letting go and letting go all the time.
Peeling back.
Yes, those layers.
And peeling back to find out who you are. And that is the first question in my first book. That's what it is. Who am I? And there's this funny story that you might enjoy, is that when we, right before we moved onto the boat, that we bought our first boat, we were partying a lot. And we were popular in our friends group for having these after hours party, because we had this huge outdoor pool in this beautiful Florida house.
Party house.
We were in the party house. And this woman was in the pool that I didn't even know. And she's there in the pool looking up at me. And of course, she'd been overserved, was loud, and asked me who I was. And that stopped me in my track, because that was my home. And she's asking me who I am. And so that's how I start in the book, is like, who am I? And then I go into this search through the adventures and everything that's happened, and really to really start to know who is Carole, and what was I brought here on this earth to do? What can I do to make first myself happy? Because that's number one. You have to be number one. That's where it begins. The oxygen max on the airplane. That's it. You cannot help anybody if you don't help yourself.
Exactly. And all the healers out there knows this too. That's pretty much where your own journey began, to help other people, is just even healing your own stuff. So
all these trainings that I took were really to try to heal the chronic digestive issues that I have, which really affected my skin, my digestion, my liver. Everything was affected. by digestion, because that's your number one, that's your immune system right there.
Exactly. Wow, that's amazing. And did that lead into your radiant life? Is it like a group get together? Is it like a program that you take people through within a certain amount of time? You want to tell us about how SAIL kind of leads into the radiant life system that you have?
Yes, well, the books are really based on everything that I've been teaching in my meditative writing classes and my Shakti dance. And instead of having all these different trainings and classes that I teach, I decided to blend a lot of things together and create these. It started out being these soul sessions that I would teach online. And I like to blend the movement, the breath, the meditation, the journaling, and these life coaching tools that we all learn that were beneficial for me. And I created that with these different topics: simplify, align, integrate, let go. And so they naturally grew into this radiant life, so that you can have a radiant health, and you can take these tools into your life and learn how to, on a day-to-day, well, this week, what can I do to help my personal growth? What can I do to help my health, my business, my emotional health, my relationships? So I'm launching that next month in April, and I'm going to teach a little bit of everything that I've learned. A lot of it has to do with the chakras and the energy and the Shakti.
So you will be taking like a group through this together.
It's yes, if you want to. And I also want to offer them so that people that can't follow on a weekly basis can get the classes and follow along at their own pace.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And for those people who are, let me ask you something about that, because a lot of times when you go through healing classes and sessions and group work, there's some stuff that comes up that people are not necessarily ready to share with everyone. Now, is there like a one-on-one part of it with you where they don't feel like I'm exposed to 10 people, sharing my stuff? Can I start off slowly sharing with you, and then probably as I go along, I'll feel more freer and comfortable sharing with the group?
Absolutely. That is so true, because in the beginning, we're not ready to look at our dark side.
Yeah, you don't want to go in the closet.
We don't like it.
You don't want to go in the closet and look at the shadows. We're like, wait, I don't even know what's in there yet. Do I really want to be exposing it to everyone else?
And it's a big step to talk with people, out loud. Just to voice it out loud sometimes it is a huge step. And we're definitely going to have the opportunity to connect directly with me on a one-on-one throughout the sessions. But yeah, I remember the first time we used to teach goddess circles, and we had monthly gathering with women. Yes. And I could see from every week the progress of women that didn't even want to speak in the beginning, and at the end would bring friends and introduce them and say, these circles changed my life. And I think there's so much power in gathering with women. Yeah. And the last few years, I think a lot of us have suffered from not being able to do these gatherings. And yes. Thank goodness for Zoom, but there is something special about being
in person,
physically in person,
and connected to each other. Yeah, like you said, and just the being able to slowly open up around others, and like you said, open up those chakras that are blocked, and be able to connect in that way. I feel the same way. I think technology is great, but there are some human barriers that we shouldn't totally just go all online and no group meetings in person and stuff. That energy that you bring to each other, just being in the aura, close to the aura of another human being, and their biofield, and
exactly important. Feeling it and feeling that connection. Zoom and all these beautiful technological advancements that we have are amazing, but we still feel disconnected.
Yes.
We miss that. And I think that one of the number one reasons for every addiction and every mental health issues mostly in the world is disconnect, the feeling of disconnection, of
Yes.
not being a part of being separate from the
Eh,
whole.
That's amazing. Yeah, I did an actual article and stuff around that, the disconnect that we get even just when we come into this world where everything, even from being a baby, is trying to disconnect us from source. And yeah, and that attachment that we need to feel connected to the earth and to our basically everyone and what we've the matrix or the network that we've come into. So that constant disconnecting kind of leaves us feeling, especially if we keep getting that as we get older, it's harder to go back to that. And it's
Yes.
harder. So when you get in a group setting, or like how we were saying, where you want to share, you will sometimes you want to share, but you just don't know how. You've disassociated, you've disconnected, and you don't know how to have that kind of connection with another person. You have to slowly get back into it.
Yes, absolutely. And just connecting not only with other people, but connecting with the nature, the planet, the earth,
all of it. Yes.
all of it, the sum of it. For me, when I started taking all these trainings, and then after a while, I did get these moments of clarity where, you know, in a movie you would have that music, oh,
The epiphany music.
the light comes down, all of a sudden you're on the spotlight and the light comes down. I had these moments where I was out there on the ocean, and although people would say, well, you're completely disconnected out there, no, you're not. Quite the contrary. I felt so connected with the whole, with everything made sense all of a sudden.
Wow.
And I took that, you know, with the more you meditate, the more you realize that. And
Yeah.
I started going to yoga retreats, and I had this moment in a yoga retreat, which is actually what I wrote in the meditation book that I'm part of, another anthology. And that's really that. Actually, my story is about the moment that I realized that I was connected with the divine, with everything. That was very, very physically ill at that time, and still swollen from my first surgery, and clueless as to why I wouldn't heal. And I had appointments with new doctors to go see, and I was really in despair, looking for anything to help. And it's by chanting mantras and doing celestial communications in that retreat that I had this awakening, this moment where all of a sudden I felt connected and recognized, and I felt connected with the group that was there and supported. And it's like all the barriers broke down, and I spent like an hour crying after class, but it wasn't bad crying.
Right.
It was
Healing.
a release. It was a let go. It was a release. It was an absolutely gift of like, oh my goodness, you know, I am part of the whole. I am worthy. I am here. I am me. One of the first time I saw me, Carole.
Wow, that is an awesome place to be, and part of that radiant life that Carole was talking about. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to go into the Women of Spirit Volume 2 anthology, what Carole has contributed to that, and also to her meditation anthology, and we'll be right back.
We are all here to do something specific and unique to our original blueprint. Soul contracts can clear up questions you have about yourself and others while putting you on the right path that is uniquely yours. It speeds up the work of self-development exponentially and gives you practical tools for daily living. To learn about or experience a soul contract reading, go to www.MikaLeone, that's MikaLeone.com, and get your free 15-minute consult to find out if a soul contract is right for you. Feeling stuck and need some practical guidance to put to use right away? I have been helping friends, family, and clients with spiritual guidance for years, and now I am opening this option to others that follow and resonate with what I have to offer. You can send your question to transform@howtohealnetwork.com, and I will answer it without using your name so that maybe it can help someone else that wanted to ask but felt too shy to do so. Again, send your question with Mika, I have a question in the subject line to transform@howtoheal.com.
And welcome back to How to Heal. And we are here with Carole Fontaine, one of the authors of upcoming Women of Spirit, Volume 2 anthology. So Carolyn, you want to lead us in and tell us a little bit about one of the stories you have in the upcoming series?
Sure. Well, in Transforming Life, I'm so honored that to have been asked to write for this book, because I feel that I've really transformed my life so many times. Sometimes I look back and I feel like I've led multiple lives through my lifetime. A publisher, a biker, a sailor,
yes,
an author now, from someone who was so desperately ill, looking for ways to heal herself, and writing and becoming an author years later in her second language, because I'm French. But you really got to follow the flow. And when you follow the flow, the universe just gifts you with whatever you need to heal. And
yes, I believe that.
I believe that wholeheartedly. And my first anthology, Meditation, is about that moment that we just talked about, when I really first had, it's one of those first aha moment when I started to see outside of my limited ego mind and had that first experience with the divine. And from then, of course, it's you just want more and more. So I just went more and more into the healing and training. And as I started to peel back the layers of myself, I saw tremendous healing, both physically in my health, but also my emotional health and my relationship with my husband. And I started my own journey of becoming an author and becoming independent and launching my own business.
Right.
And I had these moments in Windsong where I was just totally immersed in these bubble, I call them like these, it's like a bubble memory, where you wake up one day and you're so aware, and you see every detail, you feel every feeling, you smell every smell. You are so grateful in that moment. And one of that moment is in the book Transforming Lives. And it's when I woke up one morning, and from the porthole, I see the sun, and I have my husband and my dog sleeping beside me, and we're just bobbing away at anchor in absolute bliss. And we're in an anchorage where there's nothing except nature, and the sun is just peeking over the horizon, and I can place my hand on the side of the boat, and right outside of my hand, I used to do that a lot. I would place my hand on the hull, and that literally is only like maybe half an inch separating you from the water, from the ocean. And then I would imagine the ocean and my energy touching every continent in the world, because the ocean touches every continent in the world.
Right.
And
awesome.
I would touch the hull and imagine connecting directly with the light of the sun, which was reflecting right to me in my face. And it was just this moment of grace that I was so grateful. And when I felt these moments of connection and happiness, I was so grateful that I had the opportunity to learn all these tools of training to bring me to that space, because I never had these moments of awareness before. I was just going about my life, and I thought that having a few glasses of wine was happiness.
Right.
When I was numbing. And now I was sober and having these moments of complete bliss that I was so blissed that I was expanding outside of it was pouring into all my aspects of my life. And I was like, I need to share this. People need to know that to be this happy is possible.
Exactly, without any medications, any mind altering anything. Yeah.
Yes. Just from, for me, just from writing, meditating, and doing some yoga and energy work, which is really fun, which is really great because it makes you feel wonderful.
And you said that your anthology, you also did a meditation anthology.
Yeah. Well, the meditation anthology is they're all stories of different authors that share these moments of divine connection. It's the author that launched it is Sister Dr. Jenna, which is an acclaimed mentor in the spiritual world. She's the host of America Meditating, and we launched it last month on the 2/2/22. That was very good.
Yeah, nice numbers.
I love to share. I love to read and share how beneficial just being mindful and being aware, self-aware is, because I believe that clarifying your mind, the number one thing you need to do to really heal your life is to just become aware of yourself. If you're not aware that you're unhappy, or that when you eat certain foods, they give you stomach cramps, or sometimes it's a delayed reaction. But if you're not aware and you're not paying attention, how are you going to heal?
Yeah, exactly.
How are you going to find solution? How are you, because a lot of us are just, we have so much to do. We get up, we have all these things to do, and we don't give ourselves time to pause and simply ask ourselves, how am I doing today?
Yes, I agree.
Spending an hour a week or 2 hours a week doing a class that teaches you these tools, so that every day you can spend, I don't know, even if it's just 5 minutes, but if you can try a little bit more than that, that'd be great. But if you spend 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever time you dedicate to yourself when you get up in the morning, before you give of yourself to the world, give of yourself to yourself.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that, because a lot of people feel guilty when, especially when they have kids and families and things like that. It's like, oh, I have things to do and I have other people to think about. And if I stay in bed and even think of giving myself 15 minutes to meditate, that's being selfish to myself, It's so not true. It's like the opposite. It's like how you give so much more if you're in a place of feeling more whole and feeling more complete in yourself. You're going to be able to give from that place, which is totally different from being drained. Yeah. Exactly.
You're going to radiate, and you're going to be magnetic. You're going to be so happy and successful in everything that you do, because you're full of life. You're not giving love.
Yeah, you're giving from a place of being complete, not a place of, oh my God, I need some more time for myself. I need more energy. I need more, you won't admit that at the time, but yet that's what's going on. Yeah. And you're getting depleted.
Yeah. And anyone that feels stuck, or that have chronic issues with their health, or they're just not feeling like, they get up in the morning and they want to go out there and have I'm getting up and enthusiastic about facing the day.
Right.
If you're not feeling like this, maybe not every single day, but most of the
Most
day,
time.
Be curious.
Why?
As to why, and then ask yourself, especially if you have children, if you're tired all the time, and if you're not doing things that you would love to do because you're too busy taking care of other people, what is that teaching your children?
Exactly.
Because you're feeling depleted. So how do you feel right now, when you look at your life? And so you are teaching your children to do this when they're going to be parents, and you're teaching them that it's okay to feel depleted.
Yeah. It's okay to drain yourself. Yeah. And
It's
kind
not
of,
okay to be depleted. It's not
no.
okay to put someone else's needs in front of you. And I really, really want people, mostly women, because I love to work with women, and I really want them to align themselves with their purpose and really discover what that is and pursue it with all their might. Because there was one time that the doctors, I went to see an oncologist because I had lesions on my liver, and they didn't know if it was cancerous or not. And there was a moment in time where I thought that was it, because after 3 years of being sick and a few surgery, I'm like, that's it. They finally found it. I'm dying.
Right.
It's
just a matter of time. I'm out of here.
And I'm like, I'm in my 40s, and I'm like, this sucks.
Right.
I have a lot to do, and I'm crying. I'm contemplating death, and this is not cool. This is really not all right. And I told myself that if I was going to be healthy and happy again and able to do something with my life, I was not going to waste one moment doing something I don't like.
Yes.
And that's what brought me to where I am right now, is being in that dark place where I was like, please, help me, so that if I come out of this, I'm going to do something. I'm going to help. I'm going to shine the light on any tools that people can do to help themselves, and just to be happy, because I wasn't put here to be miserable or to be sick. Exactly. So I really want people to be conscious about what they eat, what they put in their body, what they listen to, the words that they speak, everything, because mindfulness is really a way of life.
Yes.
In every aspect of your life.
And would you want to tell us a little more about your Shakti dance online? I'd like to know about that, because I think that's like almost like a foundational thing for many people. I just believe that that movement, that stirring the energy, it can make all the healing, like how you're saying, the consciousness and awareness stuff happening so much faster.
Absolutely. I took a lot of trainings that led me to Shakti dance. And when I started, I organized a training in South Florida. We were, I think, 12 wonderful women. And that year that we spent together was so transformational. Shakti dance is based on Kundalini yoga, the yoga of awareness.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
So it blends the breath, the mantras, the devotional music, the celestial communication, and dance. And I think for us women, it's really, really beneficial to have the dance in our life, to have the movement. And when I started a training, yes, I took all these, I learned from all these teachers and masters, you should do this, you should do that. But even despite all the trainings and the things that I knew I should be doing, I was still struggling in my life. I was still, not 100% committed to taking help. I would fall off the wagon, not eat right and all that. But the Shakti dance completely changed that. And I believe it's because on an unconscious level, sometimes we have blockages in our body that we need movement to unblock.
Yes.
And simply willing them away is not going to work. That's the same for Reiki as well. So Shakti dance is really an energy form of healing that is so much fun because you got music and dance.
Right.
So we blend all these beautiful things together, and I usually start my classes with there has to be movement. Even when I teach meditative writing, there's always movement. And the Shakti dance is really to help raise that Shakti, divine feminine energy that we all have. Even men has that Shakti energy. That's the energy of creation. It's our life force. And we want to raise that. We want to connect that. We want to bring the flow up. So all our chakras are open and active and balanced.
Yes.
And the breath and the movement really helps to unblock some of these centers that may be stagnant or that needs a little bit more care. And unconsciously, by doing this, we prepare the mind to receive all these beautiful trainings and these notions that we that we can go into afterwards. But I found that for myself, sometimes just sitting and listening and taking a class, it was all nice. I'd take notes, but I wouldn't integrate them into my life.
Right.
And the Shakti dance for me helped me put into a space where I'm ready, and I have this eureka moment where I go, oh, I get it. And then make them part of your daily life. So it's an amazing, yummy practice. I
bet it is.
I love it.
Now, do you have monthly classes, weekly classes? How do you do this? And is there any classes you want anybody to know about that's upcoming?
They're going to be part of my Radiant Life classes starting next week. I paused for while I was launching my book because I was overwhelmed with the author life. I needed to find balance and align myself. So I was doing my personal practice, but it was too much for me on all front too. So I paused them, but they're coming back.
Oh, good.
They're coming back newly as part of my my Radiant
Life program.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, that's and any other things that you're working on that you want the audience to know about? Any websites?
Definitely. If you want to read the first book, Sail Above the Clouds, How to Simplify Your Life, go to sailaboveTheClouds.com and read the first 2 chapters there. And if you sign up to my newsletter, then you will get all the notification for the classes that's coming up.
Perfect.
And all the good things that we're doing. And I'm really excited about sharing with the Women of Spirit and our book launch that's coming up.
Yes.
Just in a couple of weeks.
Yes, very much so. And so anything that they want to find, they can find it at sailaboveTheClouds.com.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Carole. I so enjoyed being with you. I could talk for hours with you.
Right. Me too.
It's just been a very good, very eye-opening, and wow. I mean, I'm sure you're going to inspire. She has inspired so many women I've seen that said you have like changed their life and how they think and process, and I'm sure this is just the beginning.
I hope so. I really want to dedicate the rest of my life to this. It's really, I feel very aligned with my mission to help inspire women to be present. So because the more present that we are, the greater we can accomplish in this world. And we need women to awaken to their power, to their, to everything, to the
exactly.
Sum of who they are.
Yes, and so many things in life has stopped us from living up to our fullest potential and shining that and doing what we truly, like you said, truly want to be doing in this world, and no energy for anything else. All your energy and your focus is on what you really feel you should be doing here.
Yes, and when you live this way, with you being radiant, your life, you don't need to do anything else. You wake up energized. You realize, at night, you're like, oh my goodness, I have to stop but you still have energy because your passion fuels.
Because
your purpose and your passion fuels your life, and that's how you become radiant to it. So I really want women to know that they can be this way, and there is a way. I was chronically ill for so long and depressed, and look at me now. So let's bring the Shakti up in every woman listening to this, and bring the divine feminine back strong on this.
And that helps the men as well. So the more powerful and the more the women are centered in themselves, it helps the other gender as well, and it helps them to be able to balance that within themselves, the feminine aspects of themselves as well.
Yes, because we both have both sides. We need to have it balanced. Yes, the men definitely need more Shakti right now.
I know, right? Beautiful. Thank you so much, Carole. And thank you guys for listening in today on How to Heal. If you want to reach Carole, you can go to Carole's website, sailaboveTheClouds.com, and you can have everything there. You can sign up for her newsletter, and she'll give you more information on how to get involved with her program and her classes. Anything else you want to say, Carole?
Thank you so much for listening. Thanks for inviting me, Mika. And
you're
look forward to our book launch.
Everybody, thank you so much, and we'll see you next time on How to Heal.